people online from all over the world can find us, and I hope it will bring us more international speakers. Great ideas to share. Okay, so today we'll have two presentations. It was announced that we'll have three speakers, but Edmundas was not able to attend today. So we'll have more time for each presenter, and one of them is me, so very selfish. And I wrote a short break, but we were talking about others that probably we should leave a break after second presentation. And I got feedback from some of you that we could use this time together not to only hear presentations from speakers, but also share short announcements from ourselves. For example, if someone is looking for a product manager or product mentor or people to try to test your product with. So we'll have, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes after both presentations to do just that. So just keep in mind if you have anything to say, okay? And we can start now. It's my second presentation. And I'm here today to share our Veleza pivot story. And I'm not sure if you know what's pivot, so it says from Wikipedia that actually it's course correction. And I'll share how it looks like in our case. And if you just try to listen there, I guess, it's the more visual explanation what is that code. Yes, that's a good summary what protein means, and I will share how it looks like nowadays. And a little bit about my background first. Familiar to anyone? The Sims game. Yeah, so this was the main reason for my first computer. I started my friendship with technologies from there. This was the reason to upgrade my computer. Very nice game. Preparing this presentation, I remember it and I wanted to play it actually. Moving on, later I got internet and I discovered this magic button, inspect element. What it does is it shows you the source code of the page. And this was an aha moment for me. I finally realized how these web things work. And I started to create them myself. It was like childish, but fun, and I was selling them for 10 litres to other kids. So that was my first touch with internet technology. And later, after university, I joined a SKIM team. I helped to build a social network. And I joined as an associate product manager. And later I was responsible for all the products. And it was really times I learned a lot. And I started to organize these product management meetups. And after one of them, Martinez, founder of Veleza, came to me and pitched his idea. And he told me that 79% of women find it challenging to choose a skincare product. And he said that he's looking for a product manager. Okay, and as a girl, I could relate to that problem. And at that time, I was ready for a new challenge. So I decided to join the team. And it started fun, right? We were creating a skincare recommendation app. Basically, what it did at that time, we asked you to take pictures of skincare products they used. We asked at least for 4 products, and the system recognized them. And based on our you could predict what products will match her skin and what products she could try. So we gave her recommendations to try the products, and then the loop should go on. Like she should upload new products that she tried. Then we asked to rate products if she liked them or not. So basically, what you just download app, show what you use, and you get product recommendations from it. And on the road, actually, we tested with users. We did everything like product management should do, but we had product access. So it was low engagement, poor retention, horrible. And the worst part was there was no love from users, from our members. And I always imagined like it should be great to create something from zero and to start receiving just a little, maybe you have few users but they love your product. And at that time we had quite a lot of users but no love at all. So it was a sign that we have to do something. And we had to go outside the office. And I mean to go outside not to test your product, but to look for a new one. It was clear that we need a new product. Problem was still there. It was still hard to choose skincare products, but the approach we chose was not working in our case. Okay, so I literally went out. I wrote to all my Facebook friends and said, just let's meet because they were my target audience. And I had an interview plan. I had questions I need to go through because you always need to kind of structure, even if it's messy in your head. But the most important part, I had to be very open-minded. I had a structure, but I had to try to see and hear things that we haven't before, because I needed to understand where we should go next. So after that, I had a lot of data, a lot of questions, a lot of answers. That's cool, but it still was really messy in my head. And I had to find a way to deal with my team to understand what we should do next. We cannot just stop. And then I read one article about Cinema Club app, actually by Whitehead. And they identified two groups that they can segment their users to. And one group is that you know a movie you want to see, but you don't really care about the cinema, you can go to any. And the other group is that you know the cinema near your house and you want to go there and you don't really care what movie you want to see. So these are two separate groups, and one person can be at one time in one or the other. And I was thinking which two groups would be in the latter case. And I couldn't tell that. I understood that we need to zoom out. We need to zoom out from everything we have. We had a lot of data, we had a lot of ideas in our head, but we needed to look at it from, like, to see the big picture of it. And after some time, we started to see these two groups. And they looked like this. There were two groups of women. There was one group that just looked at choosing products as a job. They wanted to just find that magic face cream and use it happily ever after. And they have no time to browse online and talk or anything. And then there is another group that could literally live in a beauty store. They just love the process of choosing, of trying, sometimes failing, but then talking with their friends and on the internet, sharing reviews and everything. And after seeing these two groups clearly, we understood that what we did until now, we were designing a product for painkillers, for girls that just want to find that product and leave and do not use the app and forget about it until they need another product. And we could clearly see that from our metrics. We were not returning, they were not engaging. And it made sense that we should start from this group actually. for people who love our beauty world and want to share and want to engage. And that probably come back to painkillers later when we have a basic product that our members love. And then I found this book. Yeah, you have it here. Awesome work. So if you want to just go through it after presentation, please do that. It's like a cute book for a product. Very colorful. Yeah, so just at that time I found it online. Actually, they give 100 pages for free, and that was enough what we needed, so you can go through it as well. And the main idea was that you have to create a value proposition canvas. And okay, so I'll not go into details how it works, but just a few main points. First, you have a customer profile, and you draw a circle and you list customer jobs. What jobs your customer has to do. So you just take a segment, we take our beauty lovers, and we list what they want to achieve. Then we list what gains they want to achieve, what they want to feel, why they are choosing, why they're using these products, what's the outcome of it, and then pains. What pains she has, what happens if she uses a bad product, or if she cannot find the product she's looking for. So you have, okay, really. Okay, let's go. Probably it's boring.
Is it better without the microphone?
Yeah, yes, continue.
You just need to speak louder.
Yeah, so I'll speak loud. Okay. Yeah, so we have a customer profile. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I have a customer profile, and then you create a value map. Then this is your product, and you list what products and services, in our case, what features we can offer. We list all features. Then we list what gains we can create with our product for our user, and what pains we can relieve with our product. We have a value map on the other side. And then you fit these together. And you see what pains or jobs left uncovered. Or, on the other hand, you can see what features were left that this user group does not need at all. So after doing this exercise ourselves, at was fun. If you struggle with the product, you should try it. We realized that these things that we need to include in our new product that we are going to build. So it has to be social, it has to be visual, and it has to have user-generated content. This was the outcome from our exercise. We had no other way just to do it, so we created a community of beauty. That was kind of gamble, but that was the way we decided the molecule that we're going to take, and we see how it goes. And it went actually pretty well. That was, we had our promotion this year in January, and the time spending that. So we created a more engaging app. We finally started to receive a lot of love from our users. So that's at least one good sign. We are still far away from the main vision where we want to be, but this is a good start. So that's why I called it wannabe success story. It's still not there. Okay, so a few key learnings in our journey. So it's obvious, but I need to repeat it. Hold on your vision, but not a solution. As a product manager, I can say it's very hard to just throw away your work that you were working with all your team for half a year. It's, as we saw in the video at first, it's like need drugs. Yeah, but you have to do it. Maybe we are holding on a solution a little bit too long, but at least we let it go. And you need to zoom out, and zoom out occasionally. You are working with your team and you are so into it that you do not see what's going around you, and you do not see a big picture. And we were forced to zoom out. But now I will try to do it a lot more. It really helps to understand where you are. And one more good takeaway is learn from others, like read articles, ask other people, other product managers, how they are solving their problems. But also try to look from your lens and always think how it would fit, how it would work in your situation. Not just read and think, oh, cool, I could write something like this as well. Just always think of what you can take from it. Okay, thank you.
You told to hold on to your vision, not to the solution. So after that survey, after that pivot, did the vision change? Or did the vision stay the same, or just you pivoted to the solution?
We pivoted the solution. First solution was a skincare recommendation app to bring towards the vision that every woman should choose skincare easily and always choose good products. And we changed the solution to more community-based, where community members talk to each other and share their knowledge. So it was the change in approach how we do that. We still have that mission, and we still believe in it. That's why I'm still working with it. Okay, so thank you. Okay, so now we can light part of this. In here from far, far away, right?
Yeah, so far.
To share his story. And previously you worked at Lithuania, right?
Yeah, I'll tell all about it.
Yes, so you will tell about it.
All right.
insomma dove c'è una monetizzazione da parte dove c'è tipo dove si guadagna.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy I won't have to use the mic because I hate my voice. I'm also very, when I hear it through the speakers, I'm also very happy to be in my hometown, Vilnius. I currently live in London and I work as a product manager at Just Eat. Anyone know what Just Eat is? 4 people, 5, alright. I'll tell about it in the next slides. Does anybody know what's a takeaway? It's already cooked meal that is delivered to you. It's not ingredients, right? So, you know what so a little bit about myself. I've been in product management field for around 4 years. Before that, I was doing my own startups, but they all failed. So then I went to a real job. And I actually enjoy it very much because with product management, you get to sort of almost own your own business, if you will, but you're not the owner, so you don't bear the financial risk. And you get the salary. So that's great. So 4 years ago, I was working in a startup, small businesses, and I had to close it down, but that's where I gained my base of all the product management experience you can get. So I went out, did 200 interviews with businesses. I did the mock-ups on my own, Balsamic. We built the product, we launched it, and we failed. And I realized the problem was that I was asking questions and not giving people to use the product. I didn't give it to their hands. So I then moved on to Book a Table. Anyone know what Book a Table is? No, great. So it's a service where you can book a restaurant online. You probably don't do that in Lithuania, but in London you cannot go to a decent restaurant without booking it. So you can either call them or you can browse online. So I was managing Book a Table's iOS and Android apps. They were managing a Michelin restaurants app, so I got to dine at the places before they were cool, before they got a star. And then I felt it was time to get a bigger challenge. So now I'm at Just Eat. So Just Eat is a world leader in online takeaway marketplace, where you can go online and book takeaway online. We operate in 14 countries. I'm happy to say we're leaders in all these 14 countries. Last year, the company generated £250 million in revenue, and that came from 96 million orders. Now, I was told to share this statistic, which seemed very impressive to me myself. So, there's a time of peak time orders, right? So that's Friday, raining after you got your salary, between 7 and 8. You get 50 orders per second, that's 3,000 per minute, multiplying. It doesn't last for long, but it's very intense. Our systems handle that. And if you take the time at night, where only some people are still awake and only some takeaways are working, we don't get many orders. So the difference between the low and the peak is 10,000 times. That's the fluctuation we have to deal with. And not only is very innovative, I'm very happy to be there, but also it's a very cool brand. So who has been in London? That's the biggest raise of hands. So you've seen our red cabs, we're on the tubes, I haven't on TV, so I haven't seen the ads on TV, but I see them on YouTube, and we have lots of great. So just to keep the mood, I wanted to share our latest TV ad. So that's something I sing in the office in the morning and then gets in people's heads. And now I'm
How much you pay for the song?
I have no clue.
Did you pay for a song?
I didn't pay for it myself. What I do know is that Nick from Backstreet Boys, he was supposed to be the guy delivering food at the end, but then he backed out last minute, so we got a back to is my capabilities. Right. Stuff I'm working on.
That's really nice.
There it is. Still there? Right. So the head office is in London, that's where I'm based. And I'm working in the UK product department. So we're responsible for the UK products. Consumer products, I must say. So consumer the website. That's our postcode. It includes the iOS app, Android app, and we even built the Windows app. Not work much on it, but it is generating money. So the cool thing about Just Eat is that we work in autonomous teams, meaning I have all the developers I need to deliver a feature. I don't have to rely on another team. We put it in their priorities list, so we can deliver my API, and so on. There are 6 of us, 6 product managers in the APD. We're responsible for different parts of the website, which are not to overlap, so I'm responsible for this piece. So the homepage, the search, underneath you can see your previous orders, suggested restaurants, and it may not seem like much, but when there's millions and millions spent in marketing every year and month, I'm the one who has to capture as much traffic as possible and then direct it to the next pages and get the money coming in. So on today's menu, and you'll notice this throughout the presentation, we're very much fun driven. So I'm going to talk about dual track development, which is the oldest concept probably in product management, as old as Agile Manifesto itself. Very brief touch upon product delivery and most of the focus on product discovery. And then whatever you did, that was product discovery. Whenever you're trying to come up with a new feature, that's product discovery. I'll get there in a second. So, dual track development. Basically, you have to manage 2 roadmaps, 2 backlogs at the same time. One is where you have to figure out what you need to build, so you're working on your own, leading in analytics. And the other one is actually building the features that you promised to deliver to the business. Now, interesting thing about this is that your discovery roadmap is actually involving developers and making them build something that you can then give to your clients. I'm going to touch on that. So, product delivery, as you can see, delivery. So most of us have shipped the major feature. We've let it be there for a second. We shipped the major feature, right? We worked on it for 3 months. We worked on it for 8 months, as I heard. And then sometimes only at the end of your development or only after you release, you realize, oh shit, we've built the wrong thing, or we've built something that is not actually going to work, or something we could have worked on instead. So in that case, you end up like this US Coast Guard ship, where the feature is not being used, if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, your user base drops, your conversion rates drop, some people leave, hopefully not you, who's the person who has to leave, but it's the best lesson you can get. It's things not to do. It also is the most expensive lesson that you can get. So product discovery is there to de-risk any bets, right? So when you were rebuilding your app, building the community, that was a bet you took, and you de-risked it by doing all the surveys in that model there. So all of us have a backlog. Another one, not this one. But the question to you guys or product managers is straightforward. Is every single item on your backlog validated? Is every single button measured? Is it going to be covered? You can also measure it at the end. So product discovery is all about getting a roadmap that is much more powerful. Not there, it's more powerful. Wow. That's another TV ad, so from now on all the pictures are from our TV ads. So discovery is about figuring out what to do, and the end result is that your roadmap is built of validated ideas, right? It's not blind bets, it's something that you know is going to be delivering the business value. So I would encourage you all to come to producttalk.org and you will see the same thing as here, understand your customer standard measure. So product discovery consists of 3 pieces of work that you must do as a product manager. First of all is understanding your customer. This is where you generate ideas. What will you be building? And what's your customer pain? Second step is experiment, which is where you build your hack, you validate your ideas with data, and the last thing is you measure the results of your experiments. Now, if you're taking pictures, then this is what you have to take a picture of. Because the only way to test your idea is to give customers the experience. It can be a written experience, so you can load a prototype, you can tap the screen. You can do a concierge service where people select cosmetics product, and then you deliver the product to them. You go shop for them. You don't build the functionality of shop. For example, that's a concierge service. You can hard code a feature, build a landing page that pretends to be the feature. The best one, if you have the possibility, if you have some legacy systems that you can reuse again, is live data products, and the most often we use is Fitbit, that you guys are doing from time to time, right? Is where you pretend you have the feature and trick users into trying to use it, but then they fail because it's not there. All of the ways you can be testing your assumptions. It's still giving users the experience. I'll get to that in a minute. So, now this is not to brag. Everyone probably does that in your daily life. This is just some examples that I managed to pick from product managers around the company. So we have around 30 of them. So I have to do a bit of walking. So the first step is understanding your customers. Eliza did a survey, did the interviews. What we sometimes tend to do, we have feedback forums where users can submit their feedback. This is a great read in the morning with your coffee. It's mostly swear words, venting their frustrations. But this is where they say, delivery took 10 minutes longer than I expected. Okay, cool, so we should probably look at that. We go to call centers. Right there, if you get recordings from call centers, that's even better. You can not spend time on a train. And probably the easiest one is reviews, where you go to your app store, you go to your product reviews, and this is either people will say it's great, or people will say it sucks. It's the worst thing ever. It's very so that you go through one-star reviews and see what are people happy about, and are any of these things your fault? Right? If the burger was not juicy enough, that's not up to us. But if the burger arrived not as fast as the user expected, that's something that we can control. Another way of doing it, for a coffee shop, is do early user testing. So take your paper prototypes, take your approval prototypes, go to coffee shops and interview people there, get them to test your product. Coffee shops or malls. Malls are better at segmenting people because H&M is in the thing, right? So you get younger people there, and then Lithuania will have slightly older people there. That's basically your segmentation done. Whatever your target market is, you can reach them there. Inviting users to the office. So that's something I'm really happy about. We get users coming in every week. Our user testing UX researcher, she sits with the people who need to test the product. We dial in for a hangout, and also one product manager gets to sit in the room, and then we rotate every single interview because 10 people dial in and 10 people will be sitting in the room. It's very person. And observations at home. We do this rarely, but it's very eye-opening. So if you go, we agree that you will visit people, of course. It's not a surprise visit. We pay for their meal in the end. But if we visit a couple with no kids and just say, start ordering food, whatever you fancy, and we don't give them any devices, nothing, then we basically take out a laptop. Not a phone, not a tablet, they have a laptop, they open it, sit next to each other, because it has a big screen and they can place the order quicker, and they're done with it. Right? That's something we wouldn't know by sitting behind Google and all of the ways you can get data. The laziest one is remote testing, where you basically come up with an idea and write it in a scenario and submit a link to your website and a scenario to Zoom. That's what we use now. And as a response, in a couple of days, you get videos of people trying to fulfill your scenario. Now, if you're clever, you'll come up with a scenario that's not doable. It's not there. It's your idea, right? But what you get is people trying to come up with workarounds to reach that goal. So, as an example, we don't have a basket. We don't have a basket where you can buy from a Chinese takeaway and Italian takeaway at the same time with one click. You have to buy from one and go to the other. That's the current state. And then, but by giving people this task, we see how they're going about it. So you open two tabs and try to put it there, or, things like that. Right. And the last step of understanding your customers is basically figuring out how big is the problem. What we do, we build custom segments in Google Analytics, apply the funnels, see the drop-offs, compare the public, and see how much money we're probably losing by not having the feature. If it's significant enough, and that's a very non-precise term, but if you feel that it's a good enough thing to keep investigating, you move on to the next stage, which is experimenting. This is feedback loops, by the way. What we do, we build paper prototypes first, we just sketch them real quick, do a few variations in the office. Our UX designer builds a zero prototype, which is then responsive, and we put it on all the devices. And we put it in the user testing session and take it to the coffee shop. In that session, or dialing in, there's a product manager, UX person, a developer, who has to be there to understand the customer opinion, so he wouldn't be telling you things that are not true, in his opinion, or her. So during the test, after the first interview, we see what's wrong with the product. Should the button be on the left? Should it be bigger? Is the button not needed, for example? After the first interview, we do an iteration, basically adjust the button, adjust the color, adjust the layout if possible, all the quick changes that you can do. So the first problem you caught on the first interview is solved. Move on to the second problem, to the second interview. There's the second interview right there. So basically what you end up is having feedback loops every 30 minutes. So it's not a day, it's not a week, it's not your discussion in the office of what people think, it's users telling you what's broken. And then you're fixing them on the fly. That's rapid prototyping. Step 2 is experimenting. Right, so this is your feature that you want to build. It has this bell, that whistle, this bass thing, this passcode right there. But instead of building the whole thing and taking 3 minutes to do it before we get the real feedback, just give them that, very small dish. I would advise that it's 1 to 3 days. For us, it's usually 2, because we try to tackle big problems, but maybe an hour if it's a small tweak. But if it's taking longer than 3, maybe 4 days, then probably you're not experimenting anymore, you're building a feature already. So you should cut down your scope. We build it in Optimizely, that's what we currently use, and then launch as an A/B test to see how the interactions are going on. Anyone know what Optimizely is from products field? Alright, great. So you know that it's a little bit of a cheat that I'm saying we're using it. Great, because you can't really do these things quickly because apps have to have the release cycle. To change the code for reals with Optimizely, you just do it live and release in 10 minutes. So I'm happy we're using that. And now I have the first example. That's an international team and that's an Italian website. So that was a good question in the beginning. How do we surface a list of restaurants? Basically, we put in your address, your location, a map, or a postcode, whatever, you identify where you want the food delivered. Then we give you a list of restaurants that deliver to the place you asked us to bring it to. So this way we avoid people ending up browsing at Papa John's in Brighton because that will not deliver to London. Right? They start out in the basket, they fail because the restaurant won't deliver, they are sad, they leave, they complain on Twitter, and we have to give them a call. But we sometimes do. So the way this website looked, the way it allowed people to identify delivery address and have the 3 fields, and this is in Italy, they use address. In UK, they use postcode. Everyone knows their postcode. Postcode is your house, basically. But in Italy, they have address. So they had a drop-down for the city. I'm looking down to it. They had a field to enter street name, and they had a field to enter house number. After they filled up, they could go, and it's the suppression. Sounds like not a very painful thing, but if you look at your funnel, there's the homepage, and there's a list of results. The drop-off is pretty big, the bounce rates are big, because people are probably coming into your website and like, I have to fill up all of this, right? It's a quick reaction. You just close your website and pick up the phone. So what they did, they basically said, let's move on to one field. And the way it's a hack is because it's not connected to any of our databases yet. It's Google Places API. It has all the addresses in it. Right. It has the drop-down available for you. So as you type, you can start seeing your address coming up. Click on the address. It's fine. They released it to 5%. It was not harming the conversions. Then 10%, 50%. It was going great for a day. Then they realized that they don't have a field to. Like if you only put in your street name, it's a location. Then they block you from going forward and ask you to still put it in. Alright, so they kept iterating on the experiment. It's currently live. It's not secret anymore, so I can share this information. But that's a success story of hacking for a couple of days. Then when they found that it's useful, then they put it on all of the other pages and check it. Anyone feeling lost? What the hell is he talking about? This is so boring, but the food looks great. Alright, next. Figure. Yay, my favorite one. It's the quickest thing to build. Basically, what we wanted to experiment, we had an assumption that people are in the mood for a certain type of food. They're not in cuisine, but in the mood for unhealthy food. They want to indulge in pizzas, burgers, and so on. Or they want healthy food, so sushi is healthy. Or they want something to share with the family. So basically, I blurred it down. Put all of these on the homepage. So you put in your postcode and you make it pick the option from the drop down. And as the user clicks the option, we're giving this pop-up. We're not quite ready for this feature to be released, but do you think it would be useful for you? So first of all, not many people engaged with this. They were just skipping it, going through to the results. A lot of people picked none of the above, which I also blurred out, and everything else was sort of all over the place. And they were saying it's not useful. Right? We believed what they said because we gave them the experience, and this feature was not put forward. It was not put on the roadmap. It could have taken ages to tag all your data, all your dishes. Is it healthy? Is it not healthy? So we saved all this time and we were able to focus our effort on something more valuable. So by giving the user the experience, we realized that we should not be building this because it would end up like that shit there in the desert. Right, and for those who are actually interested in this thing, which I assume is two people, we build it and optimize the entire each time you put something in. So just building how to do these. Questions about Figure?
One quick.
Yes.
Since you operate in like 14 markets, have you noticed that in one country users love this feature and in another hate this feature?
That we have done, yes. We noticed that in some countries they may be more useful, but at the same time while experimenting on all the other things, we figure out that some features are useful throughout the country, which are in the backlog now and secrets and all that. Here. Right. So for example, if I go back to this, in Italy they put an address and they're happy about it. In the UK everyone uses postcodes. We have postcode on the search bar here. That's what works for us best. Yes.
But don't you think that maybe people were just angry with you, with the possibility to choose, and then seeing that it's not possible and voting one or whatever not useful because it's not?
Some of them were. In other experiments, they were voting 5 when we were talking about things that would be useful for them. So yeah, I mean, I told this to my dad yesterday, and he was like, you're fooling people. I'm like, but we're saving money. Yeah, by not building it.
Did you find a relationship between when you test and Figure and you get to the response that it's 5, for example? It would be very useful with the usage afterwards, with the actual usage.
I do not have the data, so I cannot share it just yet. Right? Because this pop-up is quite fresh. But I can follow up in a month.
Right?
Can you test various, let's say, ways to ask the question? For example, adding the against everything option, like I don't ask a specific question, but or just asking like push this button and maybe we'll visit sooner. Something like this.
So instead of the 5 scores, we're moving on to thumbs up, thumbs down.
Something like that.
We're playing with everything we can. This is something that is fresh off the press. I was given the permission to share this because it was presented to the company yesterday now. The world sees it. But yeah, we're changing the way and reformulating the question from there.
Yeah, are you not afraid that fake door might backfire someday? Let's say you put strong delivery on it and it causes like social rage on social networks and when it's going to be.
Causes people stealing. Yes. So to answer your question, we put it to a very small percentage of users. And I feel lucky enough that we can put it to 0.5% and get a statistically result in a week or two. Right? There's lots of traffic going through. So happy about this. Results come in so quick, I don't have to wait for a month. So we have now a very small portion of people, put it this way.
It doesn't change that it can backfire. You have this option, I don't why.
So you're saying, what if people go to Twitter and complain about it? It can, and that's unavoidable. And we just have to deal with it. It's better to get a person who tweets about it, and we will apologize to them in a very nice way. But it's better for us to save, 3 months of development time of 10 people working on it. To answer your question, though. Yeah. Right. Cool. Good questions. What we measure is the engagement rate. How many people interacted with the feature? So yes, they will have said no, I don't like it. Yes, I like it. Shouldn't have a laser though, right? There we go. So we measure how many what's the percentage of users who saw the experiment actually used it. And we think it is actually affected by the bias of people seeing, oh, this is something new and shiny, let me click on it. That's true, but if that's 10% of people think it's something shiny and useful, that's great. If it's just 1%, then we put it away. If it was a live data experiment, like with the Google Analytics example, we measured the conversion rates impact, and that's basically you put it right above everyone else, and the other feature you just ship it right as soon as you have it. That was so yeah, it answers your question, will you be building this? And I found a quote yesterday on a book. Do you know the saying, build the product and they will come, right? So product discovery is all about waiting until they come and then build the product. Same thing to me after an hour. Right? If people are knocking on your fake door, it means you have to start building it. As one of the last slides, I have great news for you guys. If you do the prototyping, the fake door, the live data experiments, Foodpunk coming up, you have all the ingredients ready for you to start building the product. Right? You have basically most of the product specification that you need. It has how it looks with mobile, tablet, web. It has what the buttons do. It has all the pixel heights and so on, because you gave it to people and tried to trick them into using it. So it's pretty much there. So all I need to do is now prioritize it and start writing user stories for it. That's all. More questions? Yes.
So food out, just eat, red branding. Is there a correlation between red color and wanting to order food?
There is a correlation between how many companies use red color to use it for like special offers or discounts, right? There's a correlation there. There's a correlation of, not sure where food out got the branding from, probably from very smart people, because I actually like it. It's very pretty and I love the food pictures, which we don't have, and I'm jealous. But we launched the Red website, and guess who also has a Red website in the UK? And then, they spend lots of money on the ads, but people keep confusing them. They think we're sponsoring that ad because it's Red, right? And they know it's better. So I'm not sure about the correlation with food delivery companies, but I am I'm sure that it gets your attention, right? So, open tables, for example, right? Previous competitor. Now they're green. But there is also correlation of, say, black and silver colors that tend to resonate to luxury. Right? So you see all the umbrellas are black. So there's lots of science behind colors. I'm not probably the best expert to talk about it, but it affects you. Sorry, I can't answer it correctly, but it has correlation with special law.
What tools do you use for measuring, managing that prototyping? So, for example, you're starting the testing, and you write somewhere, and you're checking the management tool. What do you use for itself? Is it simple Excel sheets or any product or something you build it in-house?
I tried using at least 3 or 4. I think 3 are the ones that come up if you look for product management tools to load. I find it works in Google Docs. Usually that's what we use because it's very clear what each team member is doing. So it's one about the other. You can see how we're not stepping on each other's toes. For moving the prioritization, there's Kanban board for experiments, for everyone else's team. So we have to talk to each other. That's probably the best tool. Not to step on each other's toes, but how do I see what's going to be more successful or not? There's Excel for yourself, there's PowerPoint for management, and there's Post-its for other people who have questions.
Any storages, finished with it.
Oh, do I just the product specs somewhere?
It's not a spec, but like to track what you got. For example, you tested something, you did a test, for example.
History.
Well, like a history, I don't know how to explain. Do research company because there are a lot of managers and you learn doing stuff and other teams to produce the same information.
Cool. Oh, I think I have the answer. I do remember seeing that. Here's a folder. Yes. Has PowerPoints in it with the date on it. So you basically go through each and every single PowerPoint as a new person who haven't been working there, and you get acquainted with what people built, how did it work, and if it was it used on another market? Should I reuse it? So it's quite hard. There's lots of 1,500 people. Tons of product managers, you have to talk to everyone, you also have to do your day job. It's quite hard. So the way we have just one Google Doc with all the PowerPoints, and it would take ages to go through them. Probably it'd probably be a very big board.
No, it's quite simple.
We try to not overcomplicate with processes, so that's why our prototype is the product. In my user story, I put in a link to the prototype so the developer can play with the things. Just when you click this, then this happens.
Kind of a related question. So you have an experiment, it failed or succeeded, so who ultimately makes the decision? And how is your hierarchy big enough for you to have difficulties in actually making the decision whether to build a feature, to pull the plug, or something? Is it dependent only on you or higher management? So how fast can you actually build the feature if it's actually succeeding in testing?
It's going to be elaborate one. It's a very good question, and there is no straightforward answer again. Go way back. Forgot to use that. That's we'll use. Okay. Right. Features that are in your backlog, they can come from many places. One of those places is senior management, finance team, marketing. They all tell you to do things without any consideration. Should you be doing that? It's then up to you to put all of them to the test. If you have the time and you have the possibilities, you try and put them all through the test. And then you rank the features according to all of their successes. But if you would be only you alone, that's great because it's a startup and you own it and you run one team. But in a bigger company, it's a bit more complex. You present the results, you say why we choose it, this over that, and then there's all sorts of discussions. Right? So there's all kind of sources, but nothing beats very well tested roadmap. Right? If you can say this increases conversion rate by 10%, the question you get in return is why are you not working on it yet? Right? Yeah, but it varies. There's no golden bullet. But definitely, having monetary values, having tested things definitely helps with all of the decision making. Not sure that had more gifts, not sure all the gifts.
So you do quite a lot of consumer research. What techniques do you use for that? Do you use traditional marketing research techniques, or do you use some innovative features as well?
My colleague, who is UX principal, she can use the correct terms
Yeah.
for them to use. Use commonly available data from research companies about like demographics.
Yeah.
Then we lay it over our data that we have, including extracted from GA, from Facebook SDK, many sources.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have an idea that you want to test, you cannot always use all the data you have. You have to put it in the consumer's hands, right?
Yeah, but I mean, while talking with consumers, do you use just basic questionnaires? Do you just chat with them? Do you use eye tracking or any other devices?
Right. Got it. Clicktail with heat maps and videos. The user Zoom, which records the videos, is observing the sessions live. The best tool is shutting up, actually, during the session. Say, your task is to buy a burger. Go. Right? Can be as simple as that. And then, if they ask you, what does this button do? You don't start shouting about it. You say, what do you think will happen if you click this? When they click it, you say, can you tell me what happened? You don't jump and say, do you like this nice design? Because they will say, yes, I like this nice design because you said so, right? I think shutting up is one of the best ones. To put it in very simple terms. There's lots of all kinds of ways to research things. Like how you showed. Brilliant. Nice picture. Alex was a other. Makes sense. Books with nice design. There was one more.
Yeah. How do you balance or switch between the discovery and the delivery from your team in terms of development?
Yes. It's not an easy answer. You don't have an allocated time for the experiment because whatever you want to test, it can vary from an hour to a day. But the fact that the culture of dual track development is in the business means that I'm allowed to distract developers from their main task and put them on building the experiment. And that's why they have to be involved in the user testing and the prototyping, so they know what we're talking about, and we involve them early, and they won't come to us saying, we can't build it, this is impossible, you come up with stuff that will take us years, right? And so that's why we involve them early. But obviously, if you have some marketing campaign coming up tomorrow, you do not distract them.
So you're saying that it's part of the velocity of the team.
Agile chapter, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
It is part of so many factors that it's up to you and your teammates to decide. It's very, you can't, is again not on the bullet, but the fact that it's in your culture and you don't have a deadline tomorrow to release something because the ads are coming out, you can afford to do it right now. But also because you have a list of things you want to test, you can put them in the user stories, right? And then they were like, all right, so I built this feature, now I can move on and build this experiment. That would be fun. It would be great, right? Not really pressing, you don't do it. But that's why you tend to not do experiment, build the experiment for 5 days. You tend to just make it real small, so it doesn't sound harmful. But I like the Git though. I like this. Leave it there. Not this. Not this. This. It's a bit like that. It's up to you. You have to like say, right, guys, you've done your work. It's released. It seems alright. We don't need to adjust. Let's do this experiment now. Right? But you're planning 3 months ahead now, probably a month ahead. What if this experiment will not help every other priority?
But also, the other question about you're mentioning Kanban. Do you also switch between sprints and Kanban, or like is there?
Every has their own recipe. Share my team. We use Kanban, and we don't have work in progress limit, which is part of Kanban. For those of you, this is boring. Feel free to get a beer, but we don't have work in progress limit. We have just a few codes, which is mine, where I work on it. This is those that are groomed, and then progress and so on. Good thing about just Steve, and the thing I love is that all tests are automated, so all tests is writing the scripts, so we don't have to have everyone test it, because she does a test. If you can merge it to the main branch, then you do it. Another cool thing about Steve is every weekend everyone gets £20 voucher to test the features in beta, right? So if people find major bugs, that's like 200 people, 1,000 people testing your features. Great source of feedback. Oh yeah, so Kanban, no work in progress limit, and the reason we can afford to have Kanban is because all the developers are very senior, team is in sync, and we have the sort of culture where if you say you will do it, you are actually doing it. You don't need to be put against it and measure it against it, right? It's a bit relaxed. For myself, I check the cycle time, it's 1.5 days. So just put the story into subclass, so boring for everyone else. But very fluid, put it this way. Where I worked previously, we had a very rigid process in order to catch bugs early, in order to not change scope early, not change designs, and people coming in and barging in and saying, you need to change this right now. Oh, sorry, it's a dog. He's barging in. Barging in. Alright, more questions. Yes.
How do you use uncertainty for bigger ideas? Let's see, these are all experiments for optimizing and maybe smaller things, and maybe you have a lot of experiments. But what if you are thinking about the idea which would differentiate your business and like bigger idea which you can't really prove the small experiment? How do you deal with this?
I see this presentation is about the small experiments. Groundbreaking innovations, things, if you will. Another product branch, you can't just start doing it, you have to base it on something. So this is when all the big data comes in, all the user research coming in, and then you say how many people, what's the user base that we have make more than 100,000 a year. Alright, that's this user base, let's try and target them with some come up with stuff, with premium, ultra expensive burgers that cost £20 each. We're going to target these guys. And this way our average order value will go way up. Right? It's too small. But yeah, big data, start building something. For that you need big management inputs, and isolate your teams, no one disturbs them, stuff works, those things. So it was the formula team, do your thing, start bringing data in. When data is in, you can start making decisions. It?
Maybe if you have more questions, we can continue with here. So thank you very much.
That was fun. I'm not sure what was confidential or what was not. So we just said that wasn't
So, as I said, if you have an announcement, I guess I see a few people leaving, so it's okay, but if you have something to share, like product management related, so you can use this time. Would anyone like to say anything? I would. Okay. So let's listen to Ivor, maybe he will inspire you. Because it's really a great opportunity to share.
I'm just, I'm actually more question like out of the field. I'm looking at people sitting here, anybody who wants like the physical products, the one you can touch and feel, and preferably food products. You?
We're making mattresses.
What?
We're making mattresses.
Oh, not food, but still.
Can eat.
Yeah, you can eat them.
Okay, I'll do that. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, for myself, I'm still testing another app of Rose, so if you're willing to try our app, we have it now on iPhone, Android is still very sick. So if you have iPhone and would like to test it with me, so please come to me later. Okay, so thank you very much, and we can continue, I guess, in Dirty Duck bar or here. Just go, let's go to the bar. Okay?